will the real you please stand up? They used to say that on the TV show called What's My Line? And back in about 1968, 69, when I was in the Mrs. America pageant, it was a homemaking contest at that time. And I became Mrs. Pancake of America by inventing a pancake recipe that came from how I created it. And I talk about it in my book, Dare to Be Great. So anyway, in the recipe. So when I was on that program, they did guess who I was, but it really wasn't who I was, because what's my line means what's my job, what's my work, what's my narrative, what's my story, what's my nationality, what's my color, what's my gender, what's my this, by this. These are all bodily concepts. Not divine bodily concepts, but the physical, material, temporary changing outer reality. And the real you, the real me, is not what we think we are, not what we've been taught to believe we are, not what we're trying to promote and defend. And that's how we get caught up into war or fighting. And to agitate that kind of a thing, because you really don't need to fight anything. The fighting goes on in the mind. And that's that battle of Armageddon that is keeping us in duality, fighting. And that means we're fighting against our true divine nature, because we, you notice like little kids and people as they progress through these little ages, they're trying to get their act together. And like there was a little girl that I was around for a while, not too long ago, but anyway, she talked like she was on a sitcom comedy or with other little girls, how she's seen it. And it was like, where's the real person here? When people are so caught up in the movie, this reality, the show going on, the light and sound show, and then you put yourself together, we have all these words that we believe we identify with. Catholic, Christian, Jew, Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, atheist, agnostic, these are labels. Yet the labels and their words and their sounds that we give meaning to, because we've been taught the definitions, a deaf phonician, and that's phonics or phony and telephone. So you listen, English is a spell casting language. When you shift it around and you, like the word retire, means get tired again or get a new set of tires on your car, or however that is, tire. And these words then are accepted into the unconscious, we might want to call it subconscious, the unconscious, and categorized, and then we're reacting to all of this. We're allowing all of that memory to then control us and keep us. It's like someone said, oh, I'll think positive. Well, thinking, you can't think out of the box, because thinking is the box. People don't realize that. You're making constructs with the mind. And so this, will the real you please stand up? The real you isn't like people say, well, I'll give them a piece of my mind, or I filleted them, or I don't like this, and I don't like that, and this is me, and I got to defend this, and I got to promote this, and I got to fight this, and I got to get this because it's going to get me. Well, if it's going to get you, it's because you got yourself in the mind, and you've done that to yourself, because all is consciousness. And that does not mean we're the ones inventing this, but we're the ones who are manufacturing or producing on the outer world these thoughts, these words, these beliefs, these concepts, these labels that we put onto ourselves, like they're veils and labels that we are throwing over ourselves like you throw a cover over a chair. And then you have one cover and another cover and another cover. And you ever notice how heavy sometimes the body feels? And then if you've got an ache or a pain somewhere, you go, what is that? And what's going on? And all that is heavy. And who we really are is the lightness of our being. Light not meaning this brilliant light, but a light according to weight. And then we're carrying all this weight on our shoulders of having to prove this to somebody else, to be right and make them wrong, to go to hell or go to heaven. And really, these are words. And you want to look at what are the words that you use to identify yourself that you've been promoting and protecting, and how much energy, life force, you have to put out just to do that, just to protect yourself at some level, to survive. Don't ever say that, because you are eternity itself. And when we are taught over and over and over that all you are is this physical body, or you can go to the astral body now, you can go to the light in the tunnels, but you are still in the same system. You have to get that. And so when you understand and you know that, then you're going to tune into the real self. And that real self is kind and loving and generous, very giving, brilliant. You are wisdom because you are connected to the absolute wisdom. All of us are, each real divine being. And when you are a divine being, one of the symptoms of your compassion and caring for others, not words of it, but the way you really are and how you are. And we have to take back ourselves from these words and these concepts and these labels that are causing us to do this abnormal thing of fighting each other, because we're fighting against ourselves by not being who we are, and then afraid that if I'm not this false self, nobody will love me, nobody will like me, I won't get any money, I'll die. And I've done these things that maybe they'll tell others that I've been doing. Well, there comes a point, there has to be some amnesty, because we've all been maybe tricked, hypnotized, misled, ignorant, because what's the biggest problem with ignorance? That's it. And knowledge is enlightenment. So it isn't in enlightenment. It's not about life. It's about the knowledge, and that knowledge of who we really are, and then to imbibe it, to let it come forth. And how you do that, in every moment you have a choice. Are you honoring your mind and your thoughts, or are you honoring yourself? That's really what it's at. And with the self, you don't need to think. And people get freaked out. Well, I have to think, I'm intelligent. Well, if your identity is you're an intellectual, you're in trouble. Or your identity is then you are a rebel, you're in trouble, because you're labeling yourself. Well, somebody asked me, well, what sign are you? Well, I'm not a sign. I'm a divine being, I'm not a sign. I'm not going to limit myself. And things can be good for you at one point, that it's a step, it gets you somewhere, but it's a step to take you home. And the home is with where you are always, in every way. So yes, let the real you, please, stand up and be strong and be